Everyone, great to connect with you again today. It's hard to believe, but this Sunday is the fourth Sunday of Advent and it's Christmas Eve. In the morning, we'll gather for one worship service at 10, and later in the day, we'll host two Christmas Eve services at 4 and at 6. Both services will include Christmas songs, the reading of the nativity stories, a time for children, and the lighting of candles. Along with the 10 o'clock service in the morning, the 6 o'clock service will be streamed. The past few Decembers, I've set aside a time or two to share with you some of my favorite Christmas stories. I have another I want to share with you today. It's a story I read years ago in the pages of Guidepost magazine. More than 700 years ago in the village of Greccio in Italy lived a man who was at war with God. His name was Luigi, and he had his reasons. He was a wealthy man, hot-tempered, with wonderful sensitive hands. From childhood, he had the gift of shaping wood into marvelous imitations of life. And for a long time, he accepted this talent with gratitude, a sign of God's favor. But the day came when Luigi cursed heaven. It was the day that he learned his daughter, his only child, had been born blind. After that day, Luigi went no more to the little church on the hill. He refused to allow prayers in his house. His child had been called Maria. After the mother of Jesus, he changed her name to Rosa. His wife pleaded in vain, but nothing could move him. I will have nothing to do with a God who condemns innocent children to darkness. Then in December, in the year 1207, a mule train came through Greccio. Among the treasures for sale was a magnificent tusk of ivory. As soon as he saw it, Luigi thought that he would carve it into a doll, a bambino, for his little girl. In 3 days it was finished. Life-size, smiling, the ivory bambino seemed almost to breathe. Luigi told no one about the ivory doll except his wife. Meanwhile, in the village, everyone was talking about the young friar who had come from a neighboring town to preach. People came away with an extraordinary sense of peace, as if all the anger and pain of living had been lifted from their hearts. Luigi's wife heard the young friar preach, and she begged her husband to come to church with her, but Luigi shook his head. When this God of yours shows me that he can cure blindness, then I will believe in him. He wouldn't let his wife take Rosa either, but she desperately wanted to bring her child into contact with the love and warmth that seemed to flow from the young friar. On Christmas Eve, she thought of a way. When by chance Luigi went into his workshop, his shout of fury brought the servants running. The ivory bambino was gone. From a terrified maid, Luigi learned that his wife had taken the ivory doll to church. Out in the street, up the hill, stalked Luigi, anger in his heart. But before he could reach the church door, a cavalcade swept up, 3 young nobles richly dressed, then 6 mounted servants, and finally 2 carts loaded with animals, sheep, goats, oxen, and a donkey. A young man in a purple coat sprang down from his horse. "Francesco Bernardone, we got your message and we are here." Luigi spoke roughly to one of the servants. "Who is this Francesco Bernardone that you seek here in Greccio?" "That is he, the friar." The church door had opened and a slender, brown-clad figure had come out. "Welcome, my friends, and God's peace upon you all. We brought the animals, but really, Francesco, how long are you going to play this farce?" Luigi tightened his hold on the servant's shoulder. "Who is this man?" The servant shrugged despairingly. "Until not long ago, he was my master's friend and drinking companion. Now they say he preaches the word of God. It is very strange." Other servants were unloading the carts where the frightened animals reared and plunged. "A moment, please," said the friar. He walked over to the nearest cart, laid his hand on one of the oxen. "Be calm there, brother ox. And you, sister sheep, do not baa so pitifully." And as he spoke, the animals grew calm and still. A hush seemed to fall on the people who had gathered. In the sudden quiet, the friar said to the young man in the purple cloak, "Come to the church, Lorenzo. I want to show you my manger scene." The young man hesitated. "I'm no believer, Francesco." "All the more reason for coming." The friar turned back into the church. All the animals followed him, the people too, even Luigi. Inside, near the altar, was a shelter made of green boughs, and in the shelter was a manger, and immediately Luigi knew what it contained. For a woman was kneeling near it, her face beautiful in the candlelight. It was a face he recognized. Without being led, without being driven, the animals gathered around the manger. And then the little friar stood before them. I was going to read you the Christmas story from the gospel, but my nativity scene makes me so happy, I'm going to sing it to you. No one who heard his song ever forgot its sweetness. He told the ageless story of the angels and the shepherds and the wise men. Even the animals seemed to be listening. And Luigi was prepared to believe that those animals could understand the words, because an even greater miracle was taking place within himself. His anger seemed to be melting away. Nor was his the only heart that was being changed. The young man in the purple cloak moved forward, and from around his neck he took a chain of gold and knelt down and put it beside the manger. After him his companions came and put down gifts. Luigi felt a touch on his arm, and looking around he saw the little friar smiling at him. You wondered if God could cure blindness? We are watching him do it, are we not? Luigi didn't answer because there was a tightness in his throat. He could see the villagers crowding forward to look into the manger, and the awe and wonder in their faces as they gazed upon his handiwork. Afterwards, there were those who swore that the ivory bambino stirred and smiled and lifted his arms to them, though no doubt it was merely the flickering candlelight. Then the friar said, Please thank your daughter for the loan of her Christmas present. You may take it back. Luigi shook his head. No, it's where it belongs. Let it stay. But tomorrow is Christmas. Your little girl will be disappointed. No, I will make her another bambino. I will carve her a whole manger scene so that Maria, will have Christmas at her fingertips whenever she wants it. So Luigi went home, leaving behind the ivory bambino with St. Francis of Assisi, in what according to legend was the first actual nativity scene. Hand in hand with his wife, he walked back down the hill. And he worked all night with gratitude in his heart because he knew that in his house, blindness had indeed been cured. Not his daughter's, but his own. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. And the light of the world is Jesus. Merry Christmas.